In Lies of P, the advent of the automated puppets had changed the city of Krat forever. Prior to the chaotic events that followed the puppet frenzy, the workshop was hard at work trying to ensure that puppets were present in all forefronts of society. From laborers, maids, performers, and even to the police force, automated puppets had replaced nearly all need for human involvement to maintain Krat's infrastructure. This newfound freedom resulted in a creative renaissance of sorts, where artists could create without fear of being restrained by the monotony of everyday tasks and chores. But not all artists used conventional media. Some painted their darkest masterpieces in the blood of their victims. But before we delve into the mind of a madman, it's time to give credit where it's due. Kudos to Witch Witch for her unmatched generosity. Just a few days ago, she made a huge contribution on my Ko-fi page that just couldn't go unmentioned. Thank you so much for the love and support, my friend. I'd also like to mention Brontaz11 for locating the Easter egg in the previous thumbnail. If you look closely, you will notice the puppet's left eye is brown, just like Carlo's. If you're new to the channel, I've started playing a game with viewers where I hide an Easter egg in the thumbnail of each of my videos. The first person to state what and where it is in the comments gets a shout out in the following video. Now, back to the matter at hand. Krat was home to all types of evil, but one individual in particular caught my eye. As a longtime fan of Batman, I noticed some undeniable similarities between the murderous Arlecchino and some of Gotham's finest. Many who've strolled in the dark alleyways of Krat have heard the chilling ring of a nearby telephone. Those brave or foolish enough to answer the call have surely been acquainted with Arlecchino, the king of riddles, an obvious reference to Batman's Riddler. Despite the dire circumstances, the enigmatic trickster seemed to find a great degree of satisfaction in his trivial games. However, those who answered were much less fortunate. Even the prima donna of Krat, Adelina Corday, wasn't immune to his guile. After answering one such call, she took refuge at the Estella Opera House believing that it was safe from the puppet frenzy. Little did she know that she had been sent to the belly of the beast. Geppetto's puppet was another one of Arlecchino's favorite playthings. He had shown great promise after answering a series of riddles correctly. With each new Trinity Sanctum opened, the boy took one step closer to solving the biggest puzzle of all. Who was the king of riddles? Little is known of his life, but as a puppet, he had the misfortune of serving an alchemist. Once his ego awakened, Arlecchino realized the truth behind the secret of Ergo. This newfound revelation, fueled by a hatred for the humans that enslaved him against his will, served as the catalyst for his murderous rampage. His first victim was the alchemist whom he served. Ever the meticulous artist, Arlecchino made sure to torture his former master to encourage him to divulge the secret location of the Isle of the Alchemists. Suffice it to say that his methods were exceedingly efficient, and little encouragement was needed. Arlecchino didn't head to the isle immediately, however, for one couldn't rush a work of art. The Vanini family had been responsible for engineering the very first automated puppets, unknowingly imprisoning human souls inside mechanical puppets en masse. They would serve as Arlecchino's next target. One dark night, as they walked away from the theater along with their only son, they were suddenly attacked. Although he could barely believe his eyes, the young boy Lorenzini Vanini witnessed the impossible. A puppet had mercilessly killed his parents and left him alone to suffer, echoing a young Bruce Wayne losing his parents to Joe Chill. Before he fled the scene, Arlecchino made sure to take a souvenir to remember this momentous occasion. The Moonworld Warrior deserves a dedicated video of its own, and perhaps we can explore the dark side of the moon when that time comes. Arlecchino would move on to visit each of the secret locations known as the Trinity Sanctums hidden throughout Krat. Along the way, he would leave behind his signature call sign and a disturbing message written in the blood of his most recent victim. When he finally arrived at the Isle of the Alchemists, however, his journey was stopped short. Geppetto's puppet would eventually find him immobilized in the last of the Trinity Sanctums, and discover that Arlecchino's riddles were the product of nothing more than boredom, mirroring the Joker's chaotic mind. A quick side note that I wanted to share is the fact that the name Arlecchino is Italian for Harlequin, which is often a comedic figure in theater dating back to the 16th century, also a possible reference to Harley Quinn. Aside from his own entertainment, he simply wanted Geppetto's puppet to realize the true purpose of his existence. And since he had nothing but time on his hands, he had devised a way to utilize Sophia's immense power to broadcast his phone calls to the mainland. He also shared that his motivation to murder humans was driven by his hatred and contempt for the species. The alchemists in particular were his primary source of disgust. Well aware of the true essence of Ergo, they had knowingly allowed distilled human souls to serve as a new source of energy for Krat, catapulting the city decades ahead of the competition. Before his inevitable death, Arlecchino happily recalled his masterpiece. He shared how he viewed Lorenzini Vanini as his greatest experiment. After killing his parents all those years ago, he was eager to see what would become of the orphaned boy. To his surprise, Vanini would become a great inventor and dedicate his life's work to his craft, earning him the title of the Prince of Krat, not unlike Bruce Wayne's title of Prince of Gotham. Interestingly enough, however, Vanini was no caped crusader, and was actually quite the coward, unable to physically combat those who threatened his life or that of his friends. Pulcinella, his ego-awakened butler and closest family member, was quite similar to Batman's Alfred Pennyworth. Ultimately, Geppetto's puppet would put an end to Arlecchino's game, ending his maniacal laughter once and for all. But this anticlimactic death simply wouldn't suffice. As a fan of the world's greatest detective, I was on a mission to solve one final puzzle. Who had captured Arlecchino and delivered this crippling blow? Immediately after analyzing the scene, I noticed a uniquely shaped spear that had pinned Arlecchino to his final resting place. It reminded me of the blind man's double-sided spear blade. Once I read the flavor text, I realized I had found what I was looking for. The item description reads, "A double-sided spear blade cherished by Noah the blind stalker. The sharpened double blade vibrates like a tuning fork, which helps in battle." Noah was aloof, even facing the blood-soaked darkness. His double-sided spear was still crying out and guiding him. It goes on to state, even after losing his eyesight, Noah did not give up on his duty to protect others. The blind stalker added a shield to his cherished weapon and went to battle against the monsters. The mention of Noah's impaired vision, along with the tuning fork design of his blade, immediately made me recall echolocation, which is a form of adaptive vision that bats use to navigate pitch-black areas. Despite his disadvantages, Noah was still able to capture one of Krat's most elusive serial killers, the King of Riddles. In honor of Arlecchino, I'll leave you with a riddle. I see without seeing. To me, darkness is as clear as daylight. What am I? If you can't manage to solve it, perhaps it's because you're as blind as a bat. And that's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps me know you want more content just like this. Click on these videos on screen to continue your journey through Krat, and I'll be there to guide you when you arrive. Consider becoming a member for exclusive perks like emojis, members-only videos, and more. Or check out my Ko-fi or Patreon page if you just want to support me in a more personal way. Until next time, it's the Inhuman One signing out. Join the Inhuman community today.